We often use no problem as a reply to thank you. However, we do not usually use never mind this way. I'm Teacher Mike, and today we're talking about no problem and never mind, two expressions that many English learners either use incorrectly or just don't fully understand. And we're going to start with no problem. No problem just means there is not a problem. Everything is okay. And there are maybe three main situations in which we use no problem. First, we can use it when someone apologizes for something. For example, if your friend calls you very late at night and says, "I'm sorry to call you so late, but there's something I need to talk to you about," you can say, "No problem. What's up?" There, no problem basically means it's not a problem that you are calling me late at night. You don't need to apologize for anything. Second, we can use it to say that something will work or be okay. For example, maybe you ask your friend to buy beer for a party, and your friend calls you from the store and says, "Hey, I'm sorry, but they don't have the type of beer you wanted. Is it okay if I get a different type instead?" You can reply, "No problem. Get whatever they have." Third, many people use no problem to mean you're welcome, especially in informal everyday conversations. So if your friend says, "Thanks for helping me," you can reply, "No problem." However, in more formal situations, for example, if you work in a hotel or a fancy restaurant, I generally recommend using the standard "you're welcome," because it does sound just a bit more professional. But again, in most everyday situations, it really doesn't matter which one you use. So yeah, when you want to tell someone that there is not a problem, you can say, "No problem." And if you want to reply to someone who has said thank you can also say "no problem." Now, let's talk about never mind. Never mind generally means that something you previously said, asked, or wanted is no longer important. For example, maybe you've changed your mind about something. Or maybe a situation has changed and now you don't need to worry about it anymore. For example, imagine that you want to help someone, but when you try to help them, they say something very rude to you. You might say, "Okay, never mind, I'm not going to help you." Or maybe you're trying to explain something to someone, and you explain it many times using very simple language, but they still don't understand it. You might say, "Okay, never mind." In that situation, never mind basically means I have tried very hard to help you understand this, but now it's clear that you are just never going to understand it, so I'm going to stop trying. Or maybe you're about to go outside to play basketball, but when you open your door, you see that it's raining very heavily. You might say, "Never mind," and then go back inside. Another example, maybe you ask your friend if they've seen your keys. But right after asking that, you see your keys on the table. You can say, "Never mind, I found them." In that situation, never mind basically means you don't need to answer my question anymore. We also use never mind to mean don't worry about it, just like we sometimes use no problem. For example, maybe your friend tells you that they don't know where something is. You might reply, "Never mind, we can look for it later." And although we do often use no problem to mean you're welcome, we do not use never mind to mean you're welcome. I'm mentioning this because some languages have expressions that translate to never mind but are used to say you're welcome. Because of this, people who speak those languages often want to use never mind as a reply to thank you when speaking English. However, in English, we do not normally use it this way. In English, we usually say something like "you're welcome" or "no problem," but not "never mind." Now, here's a very quick review of everything we just talked about. No problem basically means there is no problem or everything's okay. No problem is also often used instead of you're welcome. Never mind basically means that something you said, asked, or wanted is no longer important, and this one is not usually used to mean you're welcome. And finally, there was just one more thing that I wanted to talk to you about. However, this video is already pretty long, so never mind. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video useful, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel.